Hello and welcome to Matthew Reads, I guess. So now normally the stuff that I read, comes courtesy of me either finding them through social media or readers who liked X like Y, things like that. This one falls under, the social media side. But normally it's from my book Twitter that I found them. But this one came from Drag Queen Eva Destruction. Yeah, literally on Christmas Day she tweeted out, BL manga suggestions go. And then I went through the replies because I was like, I would also like suggestions. Basically, that was a long-winded intro of me saying that this video is about, Bad Boys Happy Home that I saw within the replies to that tweet.
Gay rights!
But yeah, I ended up basically picking it up because I don't remember whose tweet it was that I saw, but basically they said it was literally 3 volumes and a complete story. And I'll be honest, that was literally enough to sell me on it because essentially the ones I would rather read are ones that are already out, are already a full story. I don't want to be reading volume by volume because I'm lazy. Anyway, when they arrived, they were in plastic wrap, which I recently learned meant that there's R-rated content, and that plastic wrap then just stops people, if they just happen to be in a physical store, from opening it and just be greeted with X-rated content. I realised that's such a basic thing, but since I guess I'm new to reading manga, that was just something that never crossed my mind. But also, yeah, there is a singular content warning I would like to give this, and that there is there is inclusions of, I'm not going to say it explicitly, but SA, so if you're not, if you don't want to, consume media that contains that, maybe give this a miss. Anyway, the blurb, or what is in place of the blurb, I'm just going to read off my notes like I normally do. It says that sometimes all it takes is a good fistfight to find true love. Life sucks and high school bad boy Akamatsu needs an outlet for his pent-up frustrations. 7, a homeless guy living in a nearby park, is just the outlet Akamatsu is looking for. Soon he finds himself heading to the park every day just to pick a fight, even though he never wins. So when 7 ends up kicked out of his favourite sleeping spot, Akamatsu decides there's only one possible solution to retain his fighting partner: invite 7 home to live with him. Obviously. But I love a concept. This has a concept. It's quite a simple one. But to be honest, not everything needs to be that complicated. And I mean, this is a point that I'm probably going to bring up a few more times in this video, since this is literally just one condensed, plot line in 3 volumes. Was it ever going to be that deep anyway? No, it wasn't. So, take from that what you will. Yeah, and also just as a little an addendum to that point, since it was just 3 volumes, my expectations going into it were never that it was going to be perhaps the deepest, almost heart-wrenching storyline, simply because there wasn't going to be the space for it,
Okay, work.
Yeah, anyway, the first chapter literally just has Akamatsu turning up to the park where what's-his-face 7 legit just lives. And the long and short of it is somebody reports that there is a homeless person in the area, and then the pipes that 7 was sleeping in end up getting moved, and that is how, Akamatsu ends up inviting 7 to live with him. I mean, that's a very, what is it? A shortened version of it. It's I believe it was Akamatsu sees 7 just hanging his clothes up just in a public park, so invites 7 to use his washing machine. But also, even though Akamatsu's in high school, he lives alone. I mean, in these first few chapters, you also see that Akamatsu isn't really talking to his parents. You do actually find out in the first volume that it's because he's into guys, and his dad found out. So Akamatsu basically ran away from home. And yet, even though he's literally just a ball of hormones that just wants to fight, he seemed like a nice enough character. And also in these early chapters, you see that 7 ran away from home, and that's why he's just on the street. And there are moments where he's trying to avoid people that are looking for him, and the manga just straight up goes full on slapstick, and just in the middle of a mall while he's trying to avoid the people that are looking for him. And I hate to say it, even though it was tense and that people were looking for him, it was fun to read. And I'll also say, like, despite not expecting either of the characters to be all that deep in terms of backstory, like, as I've essentially experienced through other mangas that I've read, like, I'm not gonna lie, I was surprised about the amount of backstory that, like, both Akamatsu and Seven got, like, throughout the whole thing. I mean, I guess because while things do happen, there is no, like, explicit plot line in this manga, so I mean, because of that, that does mean there would have been, like, space for the character building. I mean, as the manga goes on, you do end up seeing, like, more backstory of the two. In volume 2, things get a bit wild, I won't lie. Like, it seemed like, volume 1 was pretty much just, like, the setup, and then, like, volume 2 was where things actually started happening.
The dolls are the dolls.
And I mean, things did happen in the first one, but, like, actually start happening in the second, if that makes sense. You see more of the backstory of Seven. You see this other character, 8, his stepbrother, who turns up, and you find out, like, the kind of world that they are involved in, or the one that Seven ran away from. And it was one of those moments where, like, the manga it felt like it went from 0 to 100, like, really quickly. And I mean, I was gonna say I wouldn't say it's dark. It's not dark, but it's sort of intense and also is, and it's wild. It's maybe not for the meek, and it's very childhood trauma core, if that makes sense. Because, the people who raised both 7 and 8, they were involved in basically, like, this mafia. And I will say, there were bits where I didn't really understand what the mafia were doing at all times. Like, I sort of understood, but at the same time, maybe it could have been me just, like, missing out things that were blatantly on the page. But I felt like I missed things. But also, maybe perhaps it could have been the fact that there were things missing, and again, it was down to the fact that there was only 3 volumes, so, like, not all of the space that would have been necessary to, like, fully flesh it out. I mean, one way in this that, it stayed typical to other mangas that I've read was, like, the side characters didn't get all of that much expansion, which, again, that was something I was used to from the others. Like, there often are side characters, but you don't find much, if anything, out about them. And I mean, because of that, there were a couple of times where I did find myself a bit confused as to, like, who was who. Like, Akamatsu has his twin brother, like, obviously his family, and then he has this friend that pops up from time to time, but I mean, they sort of were necessary to the story, but not that much. And then, I mean, 7 had his stepbrother 8, and I mean, I reckon 8 was probably the one that got the most focus, just because he was so central to, like, the events towards the end of the manga. Whereas the others, they probably weren't as important as to what happened. I will say, I feel like this manga probably could have benefited from, an additional volume between volumes 2 and 3. Now, I'm not saying that anything's missing, because, like, there's nothing missing, like, from the story. Like, a whole story gets, told from start to finish in these 3 volumes. I'm saying this because there's a section where Akamatsu and 7 get separated. Like, I'm not going to spoil how, but they do get separated. And I think it would have been, like, even better had, say, that additional volume in between, like, 2 and 3, shown as, like, in depth what life is, like, ended up like for them when they were separated.
Wig, okay.
Wig, did you just say wig?
Yes.
I know, wig. I feel that already.
Like, you do get shown little bits, but it's literally just essentially, like, bits of moping on Akamatsu's side, and it would have been nice to especially see more from him. But I mean, like, yes, you could take this as a negative point, but the way I'm making it, the point is literally, I am greedy for content. Like, that is it. And yeah, in my final point, like, this point pertains particularly to the end of Volume 3, specifically the second half. We're gonna call it camp. It wasn't bad, it was camp. And I say camp because, like, the main bulk of the plot came to a close halfway through the 3rd volume. And then in that last half, it seemed like the creators just took that space to just start doing whatever they wanted. I mean, I say it was camp, but I definitely did find myself, like, laughing at a couple bits, so it's not even like I can say I didn't like it, because clearly I did like it. Like, the best way that I could describe it would be, You know how sometimes a BL series will get maybe a special few episodes or just a special episode at the end of it? And like, it's one of those special episodes where nothing happens. It's literally just basically the characters just vibing and living their lives for like an hour.
Did you see that article from Instinct magazine?
Oh, the fracking?
No, not that.
Oh.
Like, the last half of the third volume felt like that special, like that kind of special episode. But yeah, that's gonna be it. I was gonna say I feel like I've had less to say about this manga than I have, you know, from books I've read previously, but that's probably because there's like less content in manga, and like even though I read this over like 3 evenings, I probably, like, if I'd have sat down I probably could have finished it in an afternoon, like I have done with other manga. But yeah, it's probably just that I've got less to say. So I do think that is where I'm going to leave this video. You know, feel free to like this video if you liked it, subscribe if you'd really like. Let me know, have you read Bad Boys Happy Home? Have you heard of it? If you have, you know, let me know what you thought. And you know, just wang some of the suggestions in the comments. Like, I'd be open to discovering more. And yeah, that's it. Okay, bye from me and my eye bags. Okay, bye.